Black families, the Prince of Pan-Africanism, Dr. Umar Johnson. I want to give a shout out to Black Ice TV. Make sure you watch it, support it. The news you can use, the information you can use. Youth, Pan-Africanism, economics, family, community. Make sure you support Black Ice TV because Dr. Umar Johnson does.
Is sacred. On the dive mother and father is the basics. Rise like you're supposed to slip out the matrix. Still dumbstruck thinking this is entertainment. Escape to reality. Most lives I'll keep you raw.
Hey, this is Black Ice TV 7, straight from the UK to the US of A. We've got the biggest titan I've ever seen for a very long time. We've always talked about the kinetic science. We've always talked about Dr. Ben. And you know, we're going to go in a little bit deep and talk about the information that the people need.
Sure.
Yes, Mr. SHAKKA AHMOSE.
My brother T. It's my brother T right here. What y'all know about that? Yeah, we stateside right now. We in Harlemville. We in Chocolate City for real. Little Africa, Little Kemet. That's what's up.
Now, when are you going to release your next book?
My next book, well, being that I'm looking at getting married soon, I'm gonna have to write a few books. So I got a few books coming. Definitely have a few books coming. One is gonna be on the coffin text, and that's gonna blow a lot of people away. And the other one is gonna be on what they call the Book of the Dead. We call it the pt1. And it's just gonna be showing everybody. It's gonna be like an extension, a volume 2 and a volume 3 of my first book, which is Codex Game Over, where I deal with. It's a collation. I'm showing the pyramid text and the Bible verses to show you where they took the Bible verses from. So, and I'm going to be doing a lot more explication on that as well, because in the first book I left out a lot of footnotes and bibliography so people could do the research themselves. But I had to do that because Brother Polite had seen my original manuscript. So I had to publish real fast because I know my Brother Polite. Yeah. For real. Yeah.
I want to ask you a question. Yeah. I always ask kinetic science.
Sure.
And I want to ask you, does the heart think, right?
Say it again?
Does the heart think?
Without question.
Yeah? And
Without
try
question.
and explain it.
Say no more.
Explain it in a
Yeah. I don't
yeah.
have to. You just said it.
But I want you to explain it in the kinetic science.
Sure thing. This morning, my queen and I, we were reading the Sebayet of Tahotep and Kagemi, the oldest books in the world, the oldest textbooks in the world. And in Tahotep, one of my favorite renderings is when he says, follow your heart in this life. But then he says it in ancient Egyptian vernacular. He says, in this time of follow the heart, you should do such and such, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Now, why is that important? Because, like I tell people, to understand ancient Egyptian and to understand the string that runs through the speech, you have to understand it's a heart language. It is a heart language. And so I tell that to people all of the time. If you look at their eschatology and the bas-reliefs, when you look at them, what is being weighed, what part of the deceased is being weighed? It's not his brain, it's not his kidneys, it's not his phallus. There's only one part that's being weighed. That's the heart. So that should tell you what prominence the heart has with respect to the physiology and the anatomy of man, according to our ancestors, what they felt was the most prominent, and that was the heart. And so, does the heart think? Without question. Not only does it think, it thinks independent of you. It thinks independent of you. That is your connection to the universe. I hate to say it, it's not this. That's not your connection to the universe. That's something else. That might be your manual. It might be, it's the closest thing you got to a manual, right? But your connection, and people want to tell you it's your pineal gland. Bullshit. It's your heart. And I'll tell you why. This is where it gets technical. When you read the Papyrus of Nu, That's why I tell people, don't argue with people. Go to the text and let the text speak for itself. When you read the Papyrus of Nu, and it talks about Neb-er-Cher, Lord of the universe, and it talks about creation, what is the very first thing that is replete throughout the text? And this is what I tell people. I'm going to go back to it, but I want to make this important. What is the source of all creation? There is only one source. There is only one source. The source of all creation, if you read the Papyrus of Nu, Atum says, I was one and alone. I could find no place upon which to stand. Out of my heart's desire, I spat out Shu and Tefnut. So then the seat, and this is what I tell people, and this is what the one thing you have to pay close attention to in your lifespan. It'll show you're paying attention to the text. The seat of all creation is desire. Desire. There is nothing that you can point to in existence that did not come from desire. Nothing. You cannot point to anything in this room that did not. What are we products of? Desire. Your father desired your mother. Your mother desired your father. Therefore we exist. Nothing supersedes desire. And desire does not come from here, ever. Ever. When you have a heartbreak, you ain't never broken with somebody that had a brain break. You have a heartbreak. And when you have a heartbreak, you lose your appetite. You don't even want to have sex with somebody new because your heart is broken. You understand? So desire, the heart. What the heart does is beyond thinking. The heart knows.
Oh, cool.
The brain thinks.
Okay.
The heart knows.
Okay. And I want to do another question, right? Just to the believers of the God concept and in the forms of belief.
I have no problem with the God concept. Stop beating up God.
No. No, but what it is that I want to explain, like when we try to show people of comedic science, right? And because they're in that form of belief, it makes them look at things in a literal sense. So when they see half man and a half a dog, they actually literally think that this person is worshipping or believes in that is some form of beast.
Then they're stupid. That's all. I mean.
So I want you to break it down clearly to the European public.
To the European public?
Yeah.
I know. You don't have to break it down to the European public. They're not stupid. They know. That's why they worship ancient Egypt. We got to break it down for our people.
Exactly.
We the ones that don't know. We the ones that's running to the churches, whether it be Catholic or Seventh-day Adventist or Jehovah's Witness.
They do it in Africa as well.
Right? Oh, dude, my mother lives in Africa. You ain't my mother lives in Ghana.
Yeah, and I'm your neighbor.
Oh, okay. Well, you Burkina Faso or where?
Nigeria.
Nigeria, yeah. You're up the ball. God, it's really bad in Nigeria. Where?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. We're cool in the house. Yeah. So, with respect to the anthropomorphic beings that you see, it's just a language. And when you see those anthropomorphic beings on the bas-reliefs, all you are looking at is a rendering of an attribute. You're looking at an expression in nature, a principle in nature. That's not hard to understand. It really is not hard to understand. If you look throughout Christianity, they use symbols as well. But I'll give you an example. Hold on. How come we are superstitious if we believe in a half man, half dog, or a man with the head of a dog, but you can believe with human beings that got wings like a bird? A bird is an animal, a dog is an animal. Why is your animal better than ours? In fact, we did more than all y'all took was the wings. Why didn't you take everything else? The beak? Why? Because your understanding is limited. So you got stuck at the wings. That's it. You got stuck at the wings. You didn't graduate. It's like you're still in kindergarten. So when you graduate, you move beyond just the wings. You call them angels, right? But if you look at, I wish we had a picture of Ma'at and of Osset, because you'll see the wings. The wings are always on Osset. So we were using the wings before y'all. In fact, we didn't waste. Y'all waste. Y'all waste stuff. We didn't waste. Sometimes we did waste. We used Anpu, Anubis. We used the head of the jackal, right? But we used the head of the jackal for a reason. You want to know why? Go study the behavior of the jackal. How does the jackal deal with dead corpses that it finds in the desert? What does it do? What role does it play? And then you will have your question answered. It's not mysterious. It's actually very foundational. And it's very commonsensical. So if you approach it, like one thing I want to tell black people is this, and this is real. Leave metaphysics alone. I'll say it again. Leave metaphysics alone. It has nothing to do with ancient Egypt. Okay? When you try to get metaphysical and you're dealing with ancient Egypt, you're going to lose every time. Metaphysical means literally. Meta is Greek for baby with the fez. Baby with the fez. Baby. What's up? I ain't getting no love. Yeah. What's good, man?
This is the UK speaking.
What's up? Who is
To the UK.
What's up? What's going on? I want to say peace and love, shalom, Islam, Hotep.
That's how I mess with them, man.
Hotep.
They all over the board,
We're
man.
going to keep it 100. We're going to keep it 100. We're going to come support this unity thing real quick.
That's what's up.
We're going to support this unity thing real quick.
You still rapping?
The beef been squashed. It ain't no beef. Beef don't happen right here on this forum. We know what real beef is. I'm a street cat before I was a Moorish American Muslim. Let's keep it 100. Lames wouldn't show up. Lames don't show up.
That's real. That's 100. That's 100. That's 100. That's 100. So, here it is. Here it is. Leave metaphysics alone. The word meta is Greek for beyond. The word physics comes from the Greek physika, nature. So when you say metaphysics, you're talking about dealing with things beyond nature. Now, in the ancient African mind, what could possibly be beyond nature? Nothing. So it's like Dr. Ben said. Dr. Ben said it. Once you start dealing with metaphysics, you're no longer dealing with ancient Egypt. You're no longer dealing with any of that. You're not dealing with science.
Take a picture real quick.
Hey, I got my CDs and everything over here. I got some
Boom, we in there. We in there. Love, family, you heard? That's what's up. So, that's why I try to tell my people all the time, leave metaphysics alone. Stop trying to explain African phenomena or African science or African observations in terms of metaphysics, because you're going to get lost. You're going to get lost. You want to deal with metaphysics? That's Christianity. That's Islam. That's Judaism. Everything they deal with is beyond nature. Whatever we dealing with, and see, here's the thing. We can walk outside every day and see our God. Every day. Every single day, unless it's cloudy in the sky. But even if it's cloudy in the sky, we can see our other deities. We can look at the sky and see Nut. In fact, we can look at the clouds and see her mother, Tefnut. Moisture. Okay? When it rains, yeah, right. When we walk out, we walking on Geb. So you feel that wind hit you, we seeing Shu. Every woman you see, every queen you see, you looking at Aset. Every brother you see, you looking at Asar, right? Or Set. If you're looking at a sister, you might be looking at Nebhet, or you might be looking at Seshet, or any of them. Ma'at, any of them. So all of our deities are true and living. We don't have anything to apologize for. We have nothing.
Yo, niggas make a little pay, now they feel they made it. Still rock chains and whips, still on a slave ship. Our history is there and the rest can't change it. Schools don't teach it, seek it is sacred. Honor thy mother and father is the basics. Rise like you're supposed to slip out the matrix. Still dumbstruck thinking this is entertainment. Escape to reality, most lives are wasted. See, enough don't feel the same, that's why we're left grieving. Our resources stolen for street codes, we're bleeding. I'd rather die for freedom than live for bullshit. If you feel feel the same, holler at me, fam, and let's link. Many don't know the history, that's why their life's a mystery. If it ain't revolution, then it don't mean shit to me. All you seem to care about is gold chains and whips. We had that in abundance, locked in them slave ships. And before that, we had the whole globe in our grip. The belly of this song is the reason why we slipped. I'm a warrior like Hannibal, resurrect through my seed, the outcome's fanatical. Straight mathematical, sleepwalking, pure bullshit you're talking. Teach the next gen, see for them it's important, so they can break free from this degree of distraction. Bang on the beats, never lose your passion. And yo, niggas make a little pay, now they feel they made it. Still rock chains and whips, still on a slave ship. Our history is there and the rest can't change it. Schools don't teach it, seek it, it's sacred. Honor thy mother and father is the basics. Rise like you're supposed to slip out the matrix. Still dumbstruck thinking this is entertainment. Escape to reality, most lives are wasted.